The sky above New Lyra Colony was always a soft shade of blue-purple, with twin moons hanging over the tall glass buildings. People here lived calm, quiet lives. Machines did most of the work, and humans enjoyed peace, at least most of them. Mira was not like most people. She lived in a small apartment near the outer rim of the colony, working part-time at a learning center. She was shy, quiet, and always kept to herself. Even in her mid-20s, she found it difficult to speak freely with strangers. She had no family here, no close friends, and hardly left her zone unless needed. Lately, something had been bothering her. It started with a strange pain deep in her stomach, sometimes a pull, sometimes a sharp ache. At first, she thought it was nothing, maybe stress, maybe lack of sleep. But when the discomfort grew into dizziness and strange dreams at night, she visited the local med-center. The machine took scans, gave her vitamins, and told her to rest. But the symptoms returned, stronger, and the dreams images of strange symbols, glowing forests, and voices that echoed in languages she didn't understand wouldn't stop. When she went back for a second checkup, the scanner paused for a long time. Too long. The assistant nurse frowned and told her, "We're referring you to a specialist off-world. You're being booked with Dr. Arlen Voss." Mira blinked. The name sounded familiar, but she couldn't remember from where. The assistant continued, handing her a small chip card. "You'll be flown to the Voss Medical Tower tomorrow. Everything is covered. Just be there." Mira nodded, though she felt her hands go cold. She had never left her colony before. She had never seen a real doctor, either, just EIs and scanners. That night, she looked up the name Dr. Arlen Voss. He wasn't just a doctor. He was a young tech genius who had become a millionaire before turning 30. He built medical AI systems, helped design parts of the galaxy's most advanced hospitals, and rarely took any patients himself. People called him strange, private, even mysterious. Some said he lived alone in a floating clinic he designed himself above the clouds of Kavros Prime. Why would someone like him agree to see someone like her? The next day, Mira boarded the transport ship. She wore a long gray coat, kept her head down, and tried not to look nervous. The ship's AI pilot said nothing as it glided through the stars, heading toward Kavros Prime. When the ship landed, Mira gasped. Above the city, like a bright silver needle reaching the sky, floated the Voss Medical Tower. It didn't look like a hospital. It looked like something from the future. Its shape shifted gently in the air, surrounded by clear light and soft magnetic fields. She stepped out and walked toward the entrance. No guards, no staff. Just a clean white hallway and a voice that said, "Welcome, Mira. Dr. Voss is expecting you." Her feet trembled slightly as she followed the lighted path. Everything was too clean, too quiet. The doors opened, and she stepped into a large, open room with soft glowing panels. A tall man stood near the center, studying something on a floating screen. He turned when she entered. He was younger than she expected. He wore no lab coat, just a simple black tunic. His hair was dark and neat, and his eyes were calm yet sharp, like he was always thinking about something deeper. He gave her a small nod. "You must be Mira," he said. "I'm Arlen." She couldn't speak for a moment. Her voice stuck in her throat. She only managed a soft yes. "You're safe here," he said gently. "Please come in. Let's begin." The examination room wasn't cold or metallic like she expected. It felt more like a quiet garden. Green lights, soft sounds, and floating diagnostic machines shaped like petals. He motioned for her to sit on a soft reclined seat. Mira sat, trying not to fidget. He didn't rush. He didn't ask strange questions. He simply checked her data, spoke softly, and looked at her scans. The machines began to hum. Then something changed. Dr. Arlen leaned in, squinting at the screen. "That's odd," he murmured. Mira's heart skipped. He tapped a few buttons. The scan zoomed in on a section of her lower abdomen. A glowing spiral appeared, not like anything she'd seen in human medical records. "Have you had any gene modifications?" he asked. She shook her head. "No, I've never. I don't think so." He frowned slightly, not out of fear, but deep curiosity. He adjusted the scanner. "This ... isn't from any human code I've seen." She felt her chest tighten. "What does that mean?" He looked at her steady, thoughtful, not judging her. "It means," he said slowly, "you might be carrying something very old, something not made by us." The room was silent. Mira looked down at her hands. She felt small again, lost. But then she looked up. Arlen was still calm. "I don't think you're sick," he said, "but I do think you're important. And we need to know why." Mira nodded slightly. Though her heart was pounding. She came here expecting a normal appointment, maybe some medicine, maybe a test. But now, sitting in a floating tower above a distant world, facing a young millionaire doctor who spoke like a scientist and a philosopher, she realized this was only the beginning. Something inside her had been waiting to wake up. And Dr. Arlen Vos had just found it. The soft hum of machines filled the quiet room as Dr. Arlen Vos continued studying Myra's scan. He didn't speak right away. His fingers moved quickly across a floating control panel, enlarging the strange pattern that had appeared in her lower abdominal scan. Mira sat still on the soft reclining seat. Her hands were folded tightly on her lap. She had never felt more nervous in her life. Her eyes moved between the glowing screen and the doctor's serious face. Finally, Arlen spoke. "This isn't just unusual. It's impossible by Earth's standards." Myra swallowed. "What do you mean?" He turned to her, his tone calm but focused. "There's something in your genetic code that doesn't belong to any known human sequence. It's ancient ... and partially mechanical." She blinked. "Mechanical?" "Yes. It's like someone or something hid a message in your DNA, like a small device wrapped in organic code." Mira's breath caught. She looked down at her hands, unsure of what to say. Arlen noticed her nervousness and softened his voice. "Don't be scared. You're not sick. You're not dangerous. But you are very rare." He waved his hand. A hologram floated between them, showing a spiral of glowing threads. In the center was a tiny moving light. "This spiral, it responds to signals. And when I ran your scan, it activated for just a second. That's why your local scanner couldn't detect it before." Mira stared at the floating light. "So ... what does it do?" "I don't know yet," Arlen admitted. "But it looks like it was meant to wait until it found the right host." She shivered slightly. "And that's me?" He nodded. "That's you." Arlen turned off the hologram and stepped back, giving her space. "I've been studying strange genetic codes for years. There were always rumors of hidden alien technology remnants from before Earth joined the galactic colonies. But I've never seen proof." He paused, then added, "until now." Mira's voice was barely a whisper. "But why me?" "I'm no one special," he smiled gently. "Maybe you are. Or maybe your body just unlocked something the universe has been waiting to show us." She didn't know what to say. Everything felt too big. Just 2 days ago, she was working with books and children in a small learning center. Now she was sitting in a floating tower, being told there was something alien inside her DNA. Her heart beat faster. "What happens now?" Arlen looked thoughtful. He picked up a small handheld scanner shaped like a crystal leaf. "I want to run a deeper scan, not just of your body, but your brain activity. I think this signal in you is connected to your dreams." Mira looked surprised. "You know about the dreams?" "I guessed," he said. "Many with advanced genetic signatures report strange dreams, visions, sounds, even languages they've never learned." She hesitated. "I see glowing trees, symbols in the sky. Sometimes I hear ... voices. They don't speak in words, but I feel what they mean. He didn't look shocked. In fact, he looked fascinated, exactly as I expected. He gently placed the scanner near her temple. It made no noise, just a faint light as it recorded her brainwaves. As it scanned, Arlen watched her closely. "Mira," he said softly, "have you ever been outside your colony?" She shook her head. "No, I was born there. My parents were scientists, but they passed away when I was young. I grew up mostly alone." He nodded slowly. "Then this signature. It may have come from before you were born." He removed the scanner and placed it into a docking station. Data flooded the screen behind him. Mira glanced at it, not understanding the symbols. But she saw one thing clearly. Her brain activity was far beyond normal. Certain parts of her mind were lighting up like stars. Arlen stepped away from the screen and sat across from her. "You have something inside you that isn't just biology. It might be part of a living AI, something ancient and long forgotten. Not a robot, not a virus, but a guide, or maybe a key." Mira's eyes widened. "A key to what?" "That's what I want to find out," he said. She felt a chill. "Is someone else looking for this?" He paused. "I don't know. But if I found it by accident, others might too. And not everyone would want to help you." The room was quiet again. Mira looked at Arlen carefully. He didn't seem afraid. In fact, he looked more curious than ever. His calmness made her feel just a little safer. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. Arlen leaned forward, folding his hands. "Because I've spent my life building machines to understand the human body. And then you walked in with something inside you no machine ever predicted. You're not a problem to solve. You're a mystery I want to understand." Mira felt heat rise in her cheeks. Not from embarrassment, but from something unfamiliar. Someone wanted to understand her, not judge her, not fix her. Just understand. Arlen stood up. "There's a quiet room down the hall. I think you should rest. I'll begin running simulations tonight based on your scan. I'll also check historical records, see if this pattern appears in any ancient data." Mira nodded. She followed him down the hall to a room that looked more like a peaceful guest room than a hospital bed. A soft couch, glowing stars on the ceiling, and a gentle hum of calm waves filled the space. Before leaving, Arlen turned to her. "You've done well, Mira. You're stronger than you think." She looked up at him, unsure how to reply. But inside, she felt something shifting. A small, quiet feeling she hadn't known in years. Hope. As the door closed behind him, Mira lay back on the couch. Her mind was full of thoughts, too many to count. But in the middle of them all was one question. What is this code inside me really? Fo? And somewhere deep inside her, in a place she couldn't name, the glowing spiral pulsed once, as if it had heard her question. The lights in the resting room slowly dimmed, and soft stars glowed on the ceiling above Mira as she lay on the comfortable couch. The peaceful sounds of waves and distant wind filled the space. But even in this calm, her thoughts refused to settle. She couldn't stop thinking about what Dr. Arlen had told her. There's something in your DNA, something not human, something waiting. She touched her chest, wondering what was really inside her. It didn't hurt. It didn't feel wrong. But knowing something was hidden inside her all this time, something even machines couldn't detect, was hard to believe. She closed her eyes and tried to rest, but the dream returned. She stood in glowing forest, trees made of silver and light surrounding her. The ground felt soft under her bare feet. In the sky above, moving symbols floated, spirals, lines, stars, and strange glowing letters. She heard a sound like wind mixed with music. A voice spoke, not in any human language, but she still understood it. "You are the carrier." The symbols floated down, circling around her. "You were chosen long before your birth. Do not be afraid." Then everything turned white. Mira sat up, gasping. The dream had felt real, too real. She looked around. The soft room was still there, the lights still gentle. But now, her body felt warm, as if something inside her had awakened. A quiet energy buzzed under her skin. She stood and walked slowly to the door. It opened silently. A long hallway stretched ahead. She followed the soft lights to the main lab where she had first met Arlen. He was still there, standing in front of a large holographic screen. He didn't seem surprised to see her. "You felt it, didn't you?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "I dreamed again, but this time ... It spoke clearly." Arlen stepped aside and showed her the screen. "I ran the brain scan you allowed earlier through deep pattern simulations. This," he pointed to a glowing spiral, "is not just DNA. It's a data structure. A biomechanical code hidden inside your cells." Mira stared at the spiral. "Like ... a machine?" "Yes, but it's more than that," he said. "It's living, it's learning, it's connected to you. And based on your dream patterns, it's trying to communicate." She looked at him, confused. "Why me?" Arlen tapped a few buttons and brought up another screen. It showed a timeline hundreds of years long. There were rumors of human explorers who, long ago, made contact with a race of ancient beings. The records are incomplete. Most were destroyed during the colonial silence era, but some say those beings tried to leave something behind, a way to guide us in the future. He turned to face her directly. "I think you are carrying that guide, or a part of it." Mira backed away slightly, her heart pounding. "But I'm just a regular girl. I've never done anything special. I didn't even finish university. I'm not a scientist or a soldier or anything." Arlen smiled slightly. "Sometimes the universe doesn't choose the strongest. It chooses the quiet ones, the ones who listen." He walked over to a table and picked up a silver disc no bigger than his palm. It shimmered softly. "This is a memory transducer. It can safely pull short-term memories or dreams and translate them into visual data." He held it toward her. "If you agree, we can use this to understand what you saw in your dreams. It might show us where the source of this signal came from." Mira hesitated. "Will it hurt?" "Not at all. You'll just need to close your eyes. I'll be here the whole time." She slowly stepped forward, sat down, and let Arlen gently place the device near her temple. "Take a deep breath," he said. She did. The room faded. Then, before her closed eyes, light filled her vision. The forest appeared again, just like in her dreams. But this time, she wasn't alone. Standing in front of her was a tall, glowing figure. Its body was soft light, and its face was a blur of stars. "You have unlocked the first door," the being said. "We are the architects. You were chosen to carry the spark of memory." Mira reached out her hand. "What do you want from me?" "Not want, we wait, we guide. You are the bridge between the past and the future." The vision ended. Mira opened her eyes slowly. Arlen was watching the screen, amazed. The transducer had captured everything. That figure, it's from an ancient myth, the architects. Some people thought they were legends. He turned to Mira, his expression serious but calm. "They trusted you with something, and now it's waking up." Mira stood up, still feeling the warmth inside her chest. "But why now?" Arlen walked over to a shelf and pulled out a small box. Inside were old metal tags, each one etched with strange, fading marks. Because others have tried to find this code before. Some believed it was a weapon, others wanted to destroy it. But the truth is, no one really understood it. He held out one of the tags. This belonged to someone who vanished years ago while exploring deep beneath this planet's surface. They were searching for something. I think you have the final piece they never found." Mira looked at the tag, then back at Arlen. "Are you saying there's more?" He nodded. "Yes, somewhere on this planet, deep underground, there's an ancient core, and I believe it will only open to you." Mira didn't know what to feel. She was a shy girl who had spent her life avoiding attention. Now, she was being told she held the key to something ancient and powerful. She looked out the tall window of the tower. Far below, the lights of the city shimmered. Far beyond, in the dark soil of the planet, something waited. And inside her. Something was calling. The night above Kavros Prime was filled with quiet stars. From the top of the floating Voss Medical Tower, Mira looked out the wide glass windows. She wasn't thinking about the stars, though. She was thinking about the glowing figure in her dream, the one who called itself an architect. It still didn't feel real. Just a few days ago, she was a quiet girl working in a learning center. Now, a young millionaire doctor was telling her she carried a living alien code inside her, and that she was somehow the key to something ancient. She had never asked to be special. Yet. Here she was. Dr. Arlen Voss stood beside her, silent for a while. He respected her quiet moments, and Mira was thankful for that. He didn't push her with questions. He just waited. Finally she spoke. "Why me, Arlen? I don't understand." "Why not someone smarter or stronger?" Arlen didn't look surprised by her question. He gave a small smile. "Sometimes it's not about strength or intelligence. It's about timing. You were in the right place with the right code at the right moment. The architects chose you for a reason, even if we don't fully know what that is yet." Mira sighed. "I'm still scared." "It's okay to be scared," he said softly. "Courage doesn't mean you're never afraid. It means you move forward even when you are." His words gave her a little comfort. Then he opened a folder on his screen. "I want to show you something. A report from the last mission to the deep zones of this planet. This was 13 years ago. The team went underground, looking for signs of lost alien tech. They found ... something, a signal. But it stopped suddenly and the team disappeared." He pressed play on a short recording. A fuzzy video showed a cave lined with strange, glowing symbols that Mira recognized from her dreams. The recording ended with static. She pointed. "That's it. I've seen those symbols in my sleep." Arlen's eyes narrowed. "Then it confirms my theory. Your dreams are not just dreams. They're memories passed from the architect code inside you." He paused, then added, "And I think that signal from 13 years ago, whatever they found down there, it might still be waiting." Later that night, Arlen guided Mira to a private lab in the tower's lower levels. The room had a round platform in the center and several floating lights that circled around them. In the center of the room sat a resonance core, a round crystal device used to detect hidden frequencies. "Stand near the core," Arlen said, "and focus on the feeling from your dreams. Let's see if we can bring out a response." Mira stepped onto the platform. Her heart pounded. She closed her eyes. She remembered the glowing forest, the silver trees, the warm light, the strange voice, and then a sound. A soft chime. The crystal lit up. Arlen looked at the screen. The core was responding to her presence. It was picking up a frequency buried deep beneath the planet's surface. "We found it," he whispered. "It's there, waiting." Mira opened her eyes. "Now what?" "Now," he said, "we go find it." The next morning, they prepared to leave. Arlen wore a simple exploration suit, dark gray with faint energy, threads in the fabric. He handed Mira a similar one, lightweight, protective, and designed for underground movement. Mira had never worn anything like it. She stared at her reflection in the mirror. She looked different. Not like a shy girl from a colony, but like someone on a mission. "You'll do fine," Arlen said gently. She gave a small, nervous nod. Soon after, they left the tower in a quiet dropship. No noise, no flashing lights, just a smooth descent into the lower parts of Kavros Prime. The ship landed at the edge of the old excavation site, Zone Delta 9, long abandoned and restricted. Broken machines lay scattered across the dusty ground. Old warning signs flapped in the wind. Mira felt a strange pull in her chest. "This is the place from your dream, isn't it?" Arlen asked. She nodded slowly. "Yes, but it looked cleaner. Brighter. That may have been a memory from before the fall." They moved carefully through the rubble, entering a dark tunnel. Arlen activated a small orb that floated beside them, casting soft white light. The deeper they went, the quieter everything became. The tunnel walls were marked with faint carving symbols Myra recognized immediately. She reached out and traced one with her fingers. The wall lit up softly under her touch. Arlen raised an eyebrow. "You activated it." "I didn't mean to," Mira said. "It's reacting to your presence. You are the key." They moved further into the cave until they reached a massive metal door, curved, smooth, and clearly not human-made. There was no handle, no keypad, just a circle in the center. Mira stepped forward. The spiral inside her body pulsed. Without thinking, she placed her hand on the circle. A sound rang out, low and deep, and the door slowly opened. Inside was a large, glowing chamber. Crystals lined the walls. In the center stood a floating structure, shaped like a cube with spinning rings around it. The rings were covered in symbols, glowing softly as they turned. Mira walked slowly into the room. She didn't feel afraid anymore. She felt calm. The voice returned. "Welcome, carrier." Arlen stared in awe. "This is a core archive," the voice continued, this time for both of them. "You have returned to the vault of memory. The key has awakened. The knowledge shall pass." Suddenly, light shot out from the cube. It passed through Mira's chest and into her mind. She saw visions of ancient stars, alien cities, and a time before Earth was born. She gasped, but did not fall. Her mind filled with knowledge. Arlen reached for her. "Mira, are you okay?" She opened her eyes. "I understand now," she said softly. "This wasn't left as a weapon. It's a message. A guide for humans to help us avoid the same fall." The architect suffered. Arlen looked amazed. "Then this isn't just about you. It's about all of us." Mira nodded. The past had been rewritten, and the future had just begun. Mira stood in the glowing chamber beneath the surface of Kavros Prime, her eyes wide with wonder. The ancient cube floated in the air, its spinning rings softly glowing with alien light. Inside her mind, knowledge from the architects continued to settle slowly, like morning sunlight spreading across a quiet world. Dr. Arlen Voss watched her closely. He could tell that something in her had changed. She no longer looked nervous or unsure. Her posture had straightened. Her voice was steady. She looked awakened. "What did it show you?" he asked. Myra took a deep breath and turned to him. "The architects were once like us, dreamers, builders, thinkers. They tried to protect younger civilizations by leaving behind messages like this vault. But something went wrong. They disappeared." Arlen nodded slowly. "And now their message lives inside you." Before they could speak further, a sharp beep echoed from Arlen's wrist device. He looked down and frowned. A ship just entered the atmosphere. No colony ID tag. No permission code. Mira's calmness wavered. "Who is it?" "I don't know. But they're coming fast. And they've already detected us." They left the chamber quickly. The vault door closed behind them on its own, sealing the knowledge inside. Back at the surface, the sky had changed. A dark ship hovered in the distance, black as night, with red lights blinking from its corners. Its design was sharp and secretive, not a colony vessel. Arlen's voice was tense now. "That's not a research team. That's Black Accord." Mira stared at the ship. "Who are they?" "They're a private group, hidden from the public. They've been trying to collect alien tech for decades. Most people think they're just a rumor. But they're real and dangerous." The ship began to descend near them. Dust and wind exploded across the old site. Arlen tapped a button on his wrist, calling his dropship remotely. "We need to leave, now." Mira followed as they ran toward the hill where their ship had landed. Behind them, the dark ship opened its hatch. 3 figures in black armor stepped out, each holding scanning equipment. One of them pointed toward Mira. The signal is coming from her. They moved quickly. Arlen's dropship arrived just in time. The ramp lowered and Mira jumped inside. Arlen followed and activated the defense shields. As the ship lifted off, a low-energy pulse hit them from the ground. The ship shook, but held steady. "They're trying to disable us," Arlen said. "But this ship is shielded. It'll hold." Mira sat in the co-pilot seat, her heart racing. "They're after the architect code, aren't they?" "Yes. If they capture you, they'll try to extract it. They don't care what happens to you after." "But why now?" Arlen glanced at her, his voice serious. "Because your activation signal woke something across the planetary grid. You're not just a carrier anymore, you're a beacon." And they noticed. The dropship sped across the sky. Flying back toward the Voss Medical Tower, Arlen activated his secret flight path 1 that led to the upper deck of his lab. As they landed, Mira looked down and saw several dark ships moving across the city below. "They're spreading," she whispered. "They'll be here soon. We need to prepare." Inside the lab, Arlen guided Mira into a secure chamber surrounded by glowing shields. "This room blocks all tracking. They can't detect you in here." Mira stepped inside and sat down, her hands clenched. "Arlen, what if I'm not strong enough for this? What if they come and take everything? I don't even know how to use what's inside me." He knelt in front of her. "You don't have to fight them alone. But you do need to trust what's inside you. That architect code, it's not a weapon. It's a guide, and it chose you for a reason." Mira looked into his eyes. He wasn't just a rich doctor or a genius anymore. He was someone who truly believed in her. "Then teach me," she said. "Help me understand how to use it." For the next few hours, they worked side by side in the lab. Arlen used old alien recordings he had recovered over the years. Mira practiced connecting with the spiral code in her DNA. She closed her eyes and focused on the light inside her. When she focused, strange symbols appeared in her mind patterns and shapes that seemed to move with her thoughts. The architect voice returned. "You are ready. Let the memory guide the present." She opened her eyes. "I think I know how to speak to the vault again. I think I can call it remotely." Arlen's eyes widened. "You can control the vault?" "Not control, communicate." He stood up amazed. "Then we have a chance." But before they could celebrate, the alarms went off. A voice echoed through the lab's comm system. "Unidentified ships approaching. Unauthorized landing on tower roof." Arlen grabbed a small control panel and turned to Mira. "Get to the lower safe room. If they break through, I'll hold them off. But no arguments, go." Mira hesitated but nodded and ran down the curved hallway to a hidden elevator. She stepped inside just as the doors closed out. The tower shook. Red lights flashed. The sound of metal being cut echoed from above. Down in the safe room, Mira sat in silence. The room had no windows, just a clean white floor and walls. But even here, she could feel something stirring inside her. The architect code was awake. "Mira," the voice whispered, "the enemy does not understand. But you must not fear them. The vault is not yours to hide, it is yours to protect." She placed her hand on the floor. A soft pulse spread outward. Upstairs, Arlen activated a force field, holding off the armored attackers. He fought with advanced tools, not weapons, but tech shields and energy barriers. But there were too many of them. Just as one of the attackers raised a disruptor toward Arlen, a soft light filled the tower. Everyone stopped. The walls pulsed. The ceiling glowed. Mira had activated the architect signal again. Her voice echoed through the tower, not loud but clear. "This knowledge is not for war. It is not for power. If you keep coming, the vault will close forever." The attackers looked at each other. Their leader growled, "Find her, now." But it was too late. The architect vault beneath the planet began to close its connection. The glowing cube dimmed. The signal vanished from every sensor in the system. Myra had done it. She had protected the memory, and she had sent a warning. Back in the safe room, Myra opened her eyes. Breathing deeply, she was no longer afraid. And far above her, Arlen smiled in silent pride. Myra stepped out of the safe room quietly. The white light from the walls faded behind her as the doors sealed shut. Her steps were slow, but her mind was sharp. The fear that once controlled her had melted into something new. Determination. She walked through the dim hallway of the tower. Somewhere above, Arlen was still facing danger. She couldn't sit and hide anymore. The moment she activated the architect signal, something inside her had changed. She didn't just carry the code, she had become a part of it. The patterns, the energy, the purpose, it all flowed through her now. "I won't let them take this," she whispered. On the upper floor, the battle had slowed. The black armored agents moved carefully now. After the unexpected pulse from Myra, their tech had started to glitch. Screens flickered. Energy weapons stuttered. Arlen stood with a damaged shield emitter in one hand. His lab was a mess: broken tables, scattered data pads, cracked glass. But he was still standing. One of the intruders raised a device and shouted, "She's moving. South Hall, level 5. The leader growled, "Get her, now." They turned to rush downstairs, but they were too late. Myra had already reached the control deck. She placed her hand on the central console. Her fingers glowed faintly as the system recognized her. "Override accepted," the console responded in a calm voice. Around her, the lights turned blue. Security doors sealed the hallways. The elevator froze mid-level. A transparent map hovered in the air, showing the whole tower layout. She saw where Arlen was still on the roof level. She also saw the intruders. 5 of them, split into 2 groups. Her voice was calm. "System lockdown all doors on levels 6 and 7. Redirect power to level 8 defense grid," the AI confirmed. The tower shifted slightly, humming with new energy. Myra turned to leave but stopped. She glanced back at the glowing map. One of the attackers had broken through a backup path. He was already moving toward the control room. Myra didn't run. She stood quietly and waited. Soon, the black armored figure burst into the room. His visor scanned her, and his voice crackled through the speaker. "Give me the code." Myra didn't move. "You don't even know what it is," she said softly. "That's not your concern." He raised a stun baton. "This will only hurt for a moment." But before he could step forward, the console behind Myra pulsed with light. A sound like wind filled the room, even though nothing moved. The walls flickered with symbols, architect symbols. The man stopped, confused. "What's happening?" Myra didn't answer. She closed her eyes. The code inside her surged. The memory of the architects flooded through her thoughts, and the tower responded. The floor under the intruder glowed. And suddenly, a pulse of energy shot upward. He was lifted into the air and then dropped to the floor, unconscious. Myra opened her eyes again. "Calm. You don't belong here." Back upstairs, Arlen had sealed himself inside a security chamber. He checked his screen and saw something strange. Every tower system was active. Myra ... He whispered, amazed. She had done more than survive. She had taken control. He tapped into the control system. "Myra, it's Arlen. Can you hear me?" Her voice answered through the speaker. "Yes, I'm safe. I stopped one of them. I locked the others on level 7. You ... stopped one?" He paused. "You shouldn't be able to do that." "I didn't do it alone," she said. "The vault helped me. We need to get you out of the tower. They'll bring more ships soon. I'm not ready to leave, not yet. There's something else, something the architects want me to find." A silence passed. Then Arlen said, "What is it?" Mira looked. At the screen, another vault. The code just showed me a map. "It's not on this planet. It's on a moon near the edge of the colony zone." The message said, "Only when 2 keys meet can the gate be opened." 2 keys? Arlen repeated. So ... There's another like you. Maybe, or maybe I'm one half and the vault holds the other. Arlen breathed out slowly. Then we're not just protecting the past anymore. We're chasing the future. They met again in the lab an hour later. The tower was quiet now. The attackers had been restrained by the defense systems. The colony patrol ships had arrived and arrested the remaining Black Accord agents. The danger for now was gone. Mira stood near the glass window, looking out at the stars. Arlen walked beside her. "You were amazing," he said gently. "I didn't feel amazing. I felt scared, but ... I also felt strong. That's what makes you powerful," he said. "Not fearlessness, but facing fear." Mira turned to him. "What happens next?" He smiled. "We go to the moon. We find the second vault. And we learn what the architects really wanted us to see." Later that night, as their ship left Kavros Prime, Mira sat in the observation room. She looked at the stars again, but now she didn't feel small. She felt connected. The stars didn't seem cold anymore. They felt like part of her story. And maybe, just maybe, the universe had always been waiting for her to wake up. The ship glided silently through space, leaving Kavros Prime behind. Through the wide window of the observation deck, Mira watched distant stars blink across the darkness. Each one felt closer now, not just cold lights in the sky, but possible places, stories, truths. Arlen stood beside her, focused on the navigation display. "We'll reach the moon in 4 hours," he said quietly. "What's it called?" Mira asked. "Remora. It was once used for mining centuries ago, but it was abandoned after a reactor meltdown. Nobody's lived there for a long time." Mira nodded. She didn't feel afraid, not like before. The memory of activating the architect vault still echoed in her body. The code wasn't just data, it was alive. It moved with her thoughts, listened to her feelings. "Do you think the second vault will open the same way?" she asked. "Maybe, or maybe it needs something more," Arlen replied. The architects didn't leave easy paths. Hours passed quickly. When the ship finally entered Remora's orbit, the surface looked gray and broken. Cracks lined the moon like veins. Old mining towers lay rusted, half buried under dust. There, Mira pointed at a glowing mark on the surface. The architect code inside her had shown her this spot. Now it pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. Arlen guided the ship down. They landed beside an old rock formation shaped like a crescent. In its center, hidden beneath layers of dust and stone, was something strange, smooth black metal with faint silver lines. "That's not natural," Arlen said. They both stepped out onto the rocky ground, wearing thin breathing suits. The air was too thin to breathe normally, but the temperature was stable. Mira touched the black metal. The moment her fingers made contact, a soft hum began. "It's responding to you again," Arlen said. "No, this time it's calling to something else." From her satchel, Mira pulled out the crystal disc she had found in the first vault. She held it above the metal surface. The air shimmered. Then, with a quiet sound like singing wind, the metal parted. A narrow staircase opened, leading downward into a chamber glowing with pale blue light. Arlen stepped back in awe. They built something inside the moon. Mira began walking down, the light guiding her. "Come with me," she said. Together, they entered the second vault. Inside, the walls were covered in symbols and shapes that twisted as they looked at them, alive, shifting, moving like thoughts. The floor glowed gently under Mira's steps. At the center was a platform. 2 empty sockets pulsed on its surface. Mira stepped forward and placed her crystal disc in one of the sockets. The light pulsed. Suddenly, a figure appeared above the platform, tall, robed in glowing patterns but not real, a projection. An architect. Its voice was not sound, but something felt inside the mind. Welcome, key 1 recognized. Where is the second key? Mira whispered. The architect raised an arm. A beam of light pointed to Arlen. He blinked, surprised. Me? The voice answered. The second key is not a device. It is a decision. Myra looked confused. What decision? The architect replied, to share the code, to pass it on. The architects gave gifts not only to protect but to connect. This vault will open only when the carrier shares the knowledge freely, without fear. Mira turned to Arlen. Her hands trembled. I don't know how. Yes, you do, Arlen said gently. You've been doing it since the beginning, when you helped me. When you stopped those intruders, when you trusted me. Mira looked at the glowing crystal. I used to be afraid of being seen, of being known, but the code didn't scare me. It made me stronger. She stepped forward and took Arlen's hand. I want you to see what I see. The moment she spoke, light spread from her palm to his. Arlen gasped as shapes and memories entered his mind, images of stars, vaults, songs of ancient creators, and blueprints for a future not yet built. The vault responded. Both sockets glowed. The platform rose, revealing a crystal sphere. Inside, it was a swirling galaxy of lights. The architect's voice spoke again. This is the seed of unity. The architects created it to guide those ready to build a new world where fear does not rule and knowledge is not controlled. Arlen looked at Mira. This. This could change everything. It already has, she said. They brought the sphere back to their ship and left Remora. Back at Kavros Prime, they were greeted not just as survivors, but as messengers. Scientists, thinkers, and leaders came to listen. The sphere spoke in many languages, each one ancient and beautiful. It didn't offer power. It offered purpose. The architect vaults had never been weapons or secrets. They were waiting for someone brave enough to share. In time, Mira helped others learn the code. She taught in open halls, spoke to young minds, and stood on platforms once reserved for the rich and powerful. She wasn't shy anymore. She still spoke softly, but her words moved hearts. Arlen remained by her side. He gave up his clinic and built something new, a place where knowledge was free and healing was shared. Not just for the body, but for the soul. One evening, they stood together again, watching the stars. Mira smiled. I used to think the universe was too big for someone like me. Arlen laughed softly. Now the universe knows your name. They held hands in the quiet night. The stars above seemed closer than ever.